Good afternoon, everyone. I'm back with another firearm demonstration video. This time we're going to shoot a 1760 Elliot Light Dragoon pistol. This pistol was a horse pistol used by cavalry for the most part, and it is a light dragoon because it is attached to units that were lightly armed, so they called a light dragoon. It is a smoothbore 62 caliber pistol used by the British Army from around 1760 or so up through the Civil War. I'm sorry, not the Civil War, the Revolutionary War and beyond. And so we're going to shoot it today. I've never shot this particular pistol before, so we'll see what happens. So whatever happens, you'll get to see it here. Let me show you the pistol first. This is the Elliot Light Dragoon. One thing you'll notice about it is that it has no sights. And the reason that it has no sights is that back in those days it was considered to be ungentlemanly for an officer to aim a shot at another officer. It just wasn't done. Also, this was not used for distance shooting. It was up close and personal. Imagine a 62 caliber pistol being shot at you at point blank range. They just pointed and shot. Remember the movie The Last of the Mohicans, when the British colonel shot that Indian that jumped on the back of his horse, and he just turned this pistol around and shot him. And that's how you used it. To give you an idea of the business end, that is what you would be facing if this was pointed at you. Okay, well, let's look at this gun. The lock is marked Tower 1760. These were famous lock makers in Britain at the time. You'll see the King's stamp, ordnance stamp that approves this. Also ordnance marks on the barrel. And this gun is a Flintlock. So it shoots black powder, a 62 caliber round ball, and the way it's fired is that you have the frizzen and what they call the cock, and it has a flint in it, and there's a priming pan. You put priming powder in the priming pan, close the frizzen, cock the hammer, or the cock as they called it back then, and when you pull the trigger, the flint hits the frizzen. It slices off some hot metal or sparks from the frizzen into the pan. It ignites the powder in the pan. The heat and flash goes through a little touch hole bored in the barrel, and then it ignites the main charge, and then the gun shoots. Now obviously it's not a highly accurate weapon, but it's not meant to be. It's up close and personal. Now to shoot this gun, I'm going to use a 62 caliber round ball, and I'm going to load it in a fairly simple way. I'm going to use just an easy way to load it rather than using the military cartridge is what the British would have used. They would carry a cartridge box, and there would be paper cartridges with the ball inside and the powder inside. You would just bite the cartridge, tear it, pour some powder in the pan, close the frizzen, pour the rest down the barrel, and then the paper goes in and the ball goes in. The paper becomes the wadding for the ball. Very, very quick, very simple. What I'm going to use is a fiber wad, then the powder, the fiber wad, then the ball, and then a piece of fiber over the top of the ball to keep it from rolling out. And it works just fine. Now as far as powder, I'm going to use 30 grains of 2F powder. If it was a smaller caliber, I could probably use 3F, which is finer powder. I'm going to use 4F to prime the pan, and you should only use 4F for priming powder, never a charge in the barrel. Okay, never, because the barrel could explode if you did that. Also, never use modern smokeless powder in one of these guns. It may look like black powder, but it is not. And if you put modern powder in this gun, then you're going to meet St. Peter very soon. Okay? Now, this is the GoX black powder 2F. Unlike modern powders that burn, this detonates. It's an explosive. Okay? I load this with a powder measure, never from the can. Because if there's a hot sparks down inside that barrel and I'm loading from the can, that powder could go off, go up into the can, and you're holding a bomb. And that's another way to meet St. Peter. So I load the powder in the powder measure and then into the barrel. Again, if it was a military cartridge, I would just bite the cartridge and use the whole cartridge. But I'm using a powder measure. This is the little priming horn, whatever you want to call it, little priming flask. And I put my 4F powder in there, have my fiber wads and the round balls. That looked like that. Okay, it's a .610 ball. Okay, well, why don't we load and fire this thing? That's what you're here for. All right, let's do it. Okay, first, I'm going to take the powder measure, and I've already preset it for 30 grains of black powder. Again, this is 2F. And I'm going to set the can back here, simply because you don't want any sparks getting into that can, or you're going to have real trouble. Pour it down the barrel, like that. Then, I'm going to take a fiber wad, this, load it in. Take a round ball, put it down on top like that. Then, I have a smaller one right here that I already pre-made. Put it on top of the ball. Take my ramrod out and push her down on top of the powder. Okay, turn it, put it back in. Now, one thing that is critically important here is that you have to make sure that the charge, the ball, the cushion wad, whatever you're loading into it, is right down on top of the powder. If you have any spaces, any gaps between the load and the powder, then the gun thinks you have an obstruction, the barrel could burst, and it's another way for you to meet St. Peter. Okay? All right. I'm going to take a paper towel here and clean some of that fiber lube off. The fiber wads are lubed with Crisco, and I pre-lubed those. Okay, let's put the gun on half cock, and we'll see how she shoots. See what she does. Prime the pan. Put it to full cock and she's ready to go. Let's see what she does. I'm going to start out by holding it in two hands because you never know how it's going to react. And there you are.